Hello, everybody. Welcome to Resolve the Unsolved Forum by Panacea eBiz Consulting Group. Uh, we have been having this webinar for the last couple of months, interacting with our uh, group, friends, business partners, business associates, entrepreneurs across the country and outside too. Based on that, we were getting requests, okay, fine, why not let's talk about business across the border. So we thought of this is also an area which can be solved as we go across. So we connected with Ajay and we were having a chat and we looked into an opportunity which has a lot of similarities. As we go through today's webinar, you will realize to understand, appreciate and explore opportunities between India and Africa. There are a lot of similarities, starting from culture to habits, a lot of things. It goes back to centuries. And people have been engaged in businesses, not that it's new. Most of you are experienced also with the African market, with the Indian market. Today, our objective will be to have a bird's eye view into the opportunities. And beyond today's webinar, there will be opportunities to get very specific. So we will have some limitation in this 1 hour webinars where we have requested Ajay to cover the top line and share with us the current scenario. So with me, as I've been mentioning, I have today Mr. Ajay Alva from Kenya, Mr. Ravinder Goel, promoter of Panacea eBiz Consulting Group. Let me introduce my co-panelist, Ajay Alva. Today, he's based out of Nairobi in Kenya. Ajay has, I think, around more than 10 years plus of rich experience about traversing in the length and breadth of Africa. Right, Ajay?
Yes, of course. Perfectly right.
Beyond that, he has a rich industry experience of 30 plus years, in which he has been part of large corporates, part of the academic world, part of training facilitations, and beyond that, he has worked with IT automation companies, operations, service operations, franchising, and I think going forward, I'm not sure, but he seems to be settling down in Africa itself and planning something big. Welcome, Ajay.
Yeah. Thank you, Sandeep.
Mr. Ravinder Goel, as most of you know, I would say is a tech entrepreneur. He brings with him a rich experience of 25 plus years of training and facilitating skills and bringing in the skill education into the industry. He has been mentoring a lot of startups too. At this stage today, he has his hands full with, I would say, 3 tech startups, which he is mentoring, steering on his own, and spending more than 18 hours a day trying to work out how the things are going to go on. Am I right, Mr. Goel?
That's true.
Welcome you once again. With this, let's get going. I request Mr. Goel to say a few words at the beginning. Mr. Goel, please.
Thank you, Sandeep. Hello, entrepreneurs. I welcome you all in our 14th webinar on behalf of Panacea eBiz Consulting Group, Resolve the Unsolved Forum. We have been doing a lot of webinars every week, mostly on Saturday, 3 p.m. And it has been regular for last 3 months now. We try to raise topics which are very close to the hearts of entrepreneurs, and we open up some lights, and probably they come back later on and discuss with us their queries in detail. Our today's topic is business opportunities with Africa. Now, I must thank you, Sandeep, for creating this webinar. In today's time, people are exploring how they can sustain. First is that survival. But there are companies, there are people who are not only fighting with the survival, but they are looking opportunities. Because most of the time it happens that when the things are down, that is also the time where one person can jump off and can start newer horizons, can touch newer horizons, can touch newer markets. So this is a right time to have such kind of a opportunistic seminar, and where probably we might be inviting some more people in our coming webinars from other countries, so that people can explore the opportunities available outside for their products, for their services. So today we have Ajay Alva, like Sandeep has already explained, he's an established business consultant in Nairobi, Kenya. And I have written in the chat box that if you have some queries, the participants have some queries, they can write in the chat box. Once Ajay's session is over, then we'll take up all those queries one by one. So I must thank you for listening, and I welcome you all once again. Back to Sandeep for taking it further. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goel. Ajay, so it's your time, please. If you can share with us the perspective of Africa and give a top line view of it.
Thanks, Sandeep, for giving me this opportunity to come onto this platform. And Mr. Goel, thank you for setting the platform for this particular session. What is in terms of expectation from this particular session? Coming to this particular topic of what's happening in Africa, what could be the opportunities, what are the new ways of doing business. I think whatever I am going to communicate to all of you is more from my experience, my observations, my interactions with people from the industry, from the academic perspective, from the funding agencies, from the government's perspective. And the reality is, it's a very interesting space of creating better business opportunities and creating a win-win situation for all the stakeholders involved in this particular business, especially from the entrepreneur's perspective, because things are changed, the way things are happening today, and the way I believe the things which will happen post the COVID environment is going to be a big shift, especially from the African perspective. I will surely take it a while. Africa, we know that has been a destination for so many years because of natural richness. One of the richest continent in terms of natural resources, in terms of wildlife, tourism, and of course, while we do business, we always require labor. So availability of labor. When I say labor, let me be very cautious. I'm talking about labor, semi-skilled labor, but not skilled labor. Now, Africa contributes to 17% of the world's population, consisting of 54 diversified countries, 1.3 billion population strength. And most interesting thing is 60% of this population strength is less than 25 years of age. And so that's the community which looks for employment. That's the community which looks for entrepreneurship opportunities. And that's the community as entrepreneurs coming from different parts of the world would like to interact with. So that's where the major focus is. How do you see and how do you work closely with this young community? And some a study done by British Council a few years back when I interacted with them was almost 77% of the African population wants to become entrepreneurs rather than becoming employees. They may start as an employee initially, but as they hone their skills, they would like to become entrepreneurs. There are various reasons to it, which I would take it up during this session. Some large data which I have collected is one of the richest or one of the largest exporters of minerals is coming from Africa. Almost 30% of the planet's mineral wealth comes from Africa. 10% of the global oil produce comes from Africa. 90% of the platinum supply comes from Africa. 90% of the cobalt supply comes from Africa. 50% of the gold supply comes from Africa. I don't have the statistic for diamonds, but there's a lot of diamond produce also there. Diamond mining is big in Africa. 2/3 of the manganese produce comes from Africa. 35% of the world's uranium supply comes from Africa. 60% of the agriculture produce, I mean, most of the Africans depend on agriculture produce. So they contribute to 30% of the GDP of of this continent. It is said that close to 2.6 billion tons of agriculture produced is exported from Africa, and the focus is more towards pulses, cereals, fruits, oil seeds, livestock, meat, flowers. And to bring to your list, some of you may be knowing it, India is one of the largest exporters of pulses from Africa. The various kind of dals what we use in our daily life, most of them are imported from Africa. And of course, because of this rich natural resources available, so the forest is very rich there. So tourism, wildlife is rich there. So it also attracts a lot of tourism to this particular continent, to some of the specific countries, especially in the East Africa and the South Africa part. And I understand that almost 25 to 30% of the is impacted by the tourism area. So although it has a lot of great things in terms of natural resources, and it is very it has also rubbed a lot on the African culture, and the culture being a colorful country, the culture also is very colorful. If you look at the art and craft, the music, the fashion industry are all upcoming in this part of the world, and they are also looking at seeing how do we explore opportunities in Africa. Of course, there are a lot of European organizations which are taking a lot of interest in, especially in the fashion and the music industry over there. So although Africa is rich in terms of natural resources, availability of young population, it is still considered a third world country. And most of the powerful continents like US, Europe, or Asia, probably countries like Israel, are all looking at Africa to see how could use the good quality of resources there, and then use there for production of commodities or any other industrial requirements. But what has been seen also is Africa has become the largest exporter of consumable goods, one of the largest market for second-hand automobile. You talk about BMWs, you talk about Toyotas, you talk about Hondas, Range Rovers. They're all the second-hand. There's a huge second-hand market in this part of the world. So if you look at, does the continent benefit? Yes, for the people who are directly involved in the business are probably benefiting from these opportunities. But does the social system benefit? Does the young population benefit? No, it is not, because there could be various factors to it. I'll not get into various factors, but let me point one specific area, and that's the area of education. The lack of strong structured education system, a lack of strong structured vocational education has led to this large gap. And because they are not able to apply the education knowledge into the industry, industrialization has got affected in Africa as a whole. And if you look at the people who have access to education, can access education because they have enough funds with them, they can finance themselves. A lot of education in Africa are either funded by the government, or a lot of funds come from African Development Bank, World Bank, UNESCO, etc. So, but by and large, the education system has not got affected. So what is the outcome of this entire impact? Is employment is on the rise, and most of the people, as they do not get jobs, And that goes rightly to the study done by British Council saying that 77% of the people want to become entrepreneurs because there's no other choice. You need to become entrepreneurs. And as entrepreneurs, with whatever limited capital they have, whatever limited domain or technical know-how that they have, they try to do the best possible business in that scenario as possible. And most of the business is either agriculture produce related, agriculture supply chain related, or any finished goods, consumable goods which are imported from various countries. They are dependent on the supply chain and distribution of such businesses. But how do we ensure that we create keeping this entire scenario in mind, how do we ensure that we create a better environment? So 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 to create a good business environment, I believe that the 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 system as a whole, the business system as a whole needs to focus on various aspects, such as how do you ensure that while we do business, we also take care of capacity building. This capacity building has become critical because while it's not that we just extract or take the natural resources and go to the respective countries and produce and send it back, but how do you make capacity building inclusive? It is very, very critical today, and that's also become the expectations from most of the funding agencies and most of the uh, government offices, especially the uh, labor labor departments have brought this as an inclusiveness into the system, and most of the investors who do business are expected to take care of capacity building so that it is a mutually beneficial process for either parties or all the stakeholders involved in the system. So expectation is to see, if you talk about agriculture perspective, how do you ensure that the soil resources are protected? How do you ensure that the green economy is protected? How do you take care of waste management? How do you utilize the soil to the optimum? Okay, how do you bring in the industrial best practices? How do you ensure food packaging or food processing is done at the best from the domain perspective? But there are other areas which needs to be inclusive, is credit management, import export compliance, logistic management, especially when you're talking about international business. So the expectation from to the investor community is, while you want to do business, please bring these things, keep these things in mind when you come onto the table, because that is an easy way into this market. There will be acceptance from the funding agencies, there will be expectance from the government, and this will bring you a connect not only with the industries but also to the community which is looking at employment, because these things cannot be done without having skilled employees. So while I was talking about 60% of the African population is young, that is the community which is looking at getting themselves educated, especially from the domain perspective, especially in the space of vocational education. So because this is not coming from their system, so where else they have to go? They have to look at something. So if you're looking at a robust platform which is scalable, and which can be, which can help their family businesses to grow, which can talk about community-based cottage industry development, this is what is the expectation from the African government, their policies, what they have created. This is the core and key expectation. And
Okay.
if we,
Just to specifically focus over here at this stage, since you mentioned capacity building, I'm sure most of us would like to understand. Say from the mining, you shared a lot of data. Agriculture, you shared is a good opportunity. So if I'm an entrepreneur who is trying to get into agriculture space as such, so what should be my approach typically, understanding that market?
so of course, so you need to understand how is the agriculture being produced there, because see, the thing is, unlike India, where you use lot of fertilizers, etc. In a specific way. But here, because the soil is so rich, the produce is much better, but it can diminish across a period of time. So when you come in as an investor from this perspective and talk about soil management perspective, so you also need to come in to see how do you ensure that the soil management can be protected and ensure that you get the optimum outcome or output from this particular soil productivity. That's not known. So who is supposed to bring that? For example, if you are talking about uh, uh, exporting produce, how do you ensure that the segmentation of various produce needs to be taken in a such a way? So that input needs to be given to them. How do you ensure that the packaging processes needs to be followed? Because you need to keep the packaging in a space which needs a certain temperature. But if we talk about meat produce, if we talk about, so let's take an avocado as an example, because I was in Kenya, so Kenya is the largest producer of avocado. But there is a lot of wastage, and if you look at every part of avocado, not only the avocado pulp, we know that avocado pulp is healthy, it is a talk of the entire world today. But the avocado skin can be used also for medical purpose. The avocado skin can also be used for as a manure, but it is just thrown. It goes as a waste. So how do you reuse that particular thing? Avocado seeds is just thrown. Now avocado seeds can be actually kept in a certain temperature and then can be sent to different parts of the world. India does not produce avocado. We spend probably 100 120 rupees for one piece of avocado. About 120 rupees probably can get more than a kg of good quality avocados. So so we need to see how do you
Right.
provide the right kind of inputs to these people. So these seeds can actually be transported to those countries which do not have avocado, or maybe there are these avocado seeds can be collected, because this environment, the Kenyan environment, is very good for avocado produce, can be used for more production in places where avocado is not being produced, because there could be a barren land, but the land is conducive for production of avocado. How do you ensure that somebody who knows soil management and comes with the soil expertise, transfers those expertise onto that area? So who
So
is
what you're
supposed to?
saying is inclusive growth is very important, right?
Absolutely.
If I have to
When
do this, so that is
yeah,
one
so
important message which applicants are conveying is, if you want to become a part of business association, you need to be having an inclusive approach to the entire.
the
Right.
second thing I would like to add is, and today I know most of this is a supply chain or a or a supply and distribution management system. Most of the things are today IT enabled. Now, how do we ensure these farmers know what to produce, when to produce, and whom to supply to, and so that they get the price benefit? So it's very important to create a seamless supply chain management system. These are all IT enabled. Now these people who, most of the African industry, I think 80% of the African industry is SME segment. I'm talking from the private industry. It's all small and medium enterprise. There are very few large enterprises. You have very few companies which have 100 plus employees. Most of them are in maybe 15 to 50 size of an employment from a production perspective. Okay, in terms of staff which are permanently working there, that includes finance, logistics, etc. But then there are laborers who come on temp kind of thing. But how do you ensure that you can make this system process grow, is something which is expecting. So if you have an IT enabled service today with business intelligence tools inclusive in the IT enabled services, with the artificial intelligence processes and machine language deep learning talked about, these these tools or these ERP solutions are available at a very you know economical price. Unlike expecting an SAP or an Oracle-based service, which cannot work in such SME in a SME space. You require a cheaper solution. And when you go as entrepreneurs, please don't go, okay, I need to export or import avocados, for example. I took an example. Let me stick to the same example. And then look at doing knowledge transfer. Collaborate with people who can do IT enablement services for taking care of supply chain management, or AI solutions for taking and understanding the soil management system. Bring this inclusive. Do not go. You also, from the perspective of entrepreneurs, need to collaborate and holistically go there rather than purchasing it or inventing it. Go as a holistic solution and provide it to this world of Africa, so that it becomes an easier win-win situation and mutual benefit situation for all the stakeholders. Because today, Africa's adoption towards the digital space has been pretty fast as compared to any part of the world. Now, let me compare it to the Indian from the Indian perspective. India, if you talk about labor, it becomes very regional centered. They only understand regional languages. But if you look at country like Africa, where predominantly it's an English-speaking continent, but yes, we have French-speaking, we have Portuguese-speaking, and Creole at Mauritius. But predominantly, everybody understands English. Now, for this person who understands, who is an expert probably as a skilled labor in the area of agriculture, because he understands English, because he can read English, for him adapting to the IT-enabled services, it's not a difficult task. So we have also seen that the enablement, the acceptance, and getting into the IT space has been a natural curve for them, and comparing to looking at from Indian perspective cannot be done, because this is adoption is faster there. So let it be youngsters, let it be people who are who can just do basic read and write. They are also adapting into this area. So adoption will not be a problem from the African perspective in the IT enabled, business services, which is required for any kind of industry today. So that's also an expectation. And let me bring it very, very clearly. I think post COVID, you would see a big shift happening in Africa, because what we are seeing is lot of funds, lot of spends, both from the government, banks, telecom companies, are all going towards automation of their business processes. Now let me take an example of a bank, or maybe taking example of a telecom company. The entire KYC process today is getting automated. So you provide your ID, you provide your certificates, etc. All these things can be uploaded online today. So you don't have to go to the bank, or you don't have to go to the telecom office. You can do it from their home. So that's the ease of business they are talking about. Then, so if you want to take a loan, maybe a corporate loan or a personal loan, or a business loan for a business house, the entire system has become getting automated. So they are also going towards automation, and this also talks about import and exports also. Everything is going towards automation. The Reserve Bank equivalent of various countries are all talking about getting their contract management, vendor management, everything is getting automated today. Accounts payable is getting automated today. So they are aware that it is very important to go towards automation, and this COVID environment is now pushing them to go towards that space of automation and IT enablement. So that's certain set of things you need to keep in view while you go into these countries, so that you may not. So it is much easier as it was few years back. So things are changing, and things will still change. And because of the acceptance of adoption of IT enabled services, because of the English speaking community and ease to communicate with the IT board, maybe which could be a laptop or a mobile phone, it is easy for them. So because of this adoption, I see that there will be a sea change in which the way business would be done in Africa, and that also goes for capacity building too. So this
Ajay,
is
at this juncture, I am just inquisitive about it. So that means IT services also has good amount of opportunity at this point of time
yes, of course.
to set up
IT is
base and create opportunities in Africa.
Yeah, see,
That is
yes,
what-
yes, of course. IT services are a huge demand today for Africa, especially if you look at, you know, what you should look at. It's become more of a gig economy there.
Right.
So, so if you think that I go there for 2 years, it doesn't happen today like it used to happen probably maybe 4 or 5 years back. Things have become different. So if you are looking at providing an expert, the expert is supposed to spend 6 months in solving their problem, and the next 6 months he will go and doing handholding to the respective team members or the people associated in that particular function, and then he moves on. Then it would be more form consultative and or support activity, because things will keep on changing, because software processes keep versions keep on changing, the business processes keep on changing.
Right.
So change will always happen. But if you're going from just I'll do my work or I'll stay there and do my work, that doesn't happen now. It's more of a consultative approach. You do your work, and then there is a work continuity. So it is very critical not to only solve the problem but also do capacity building even from the IT perspective. That's the expectation from the industry. And today, even work permit released for certain set of countries, if you want the second work permit after a year or two, you are expected to prove to the immigration department and the labor department that your stay has impacted the company in the form of knowledge transfer, in the form of capacity building. This also is getting audited today. And some of the countries have been very clearly, companies are very clearly specified that you will be given X number of expat employees only. It was unlike before, because they want their community, their skills to improve for their population, which is looking for employment or entrepreneurship
Ajay, like
opportunities.
uh, since you are talking about how to get into it, there have been a couple of queries which are coming in. I thought to engage you with that also as we are speaking.
Okay.
It's about questions like understanding the process of getting into Africa as a market. Okay.
Okay.
So,
So
what are
I'm
the basic understandings which a person should have?
yeah. So it is very important to understand the investment policies for respective countries, which is different for various countries. There are 54 countries.
Hmm.
It is very important to understand the taxation process, which is very, very critical, because if you don't do that, you may land
Yes.
up in lots of problems.
Right.
You also need to understand the labor laws and processes. That is very, very critical. You may also have to understand the import export impact, especially forex, because in some of the countries it is too bouncy and it can be risky too. But some of the countries it is fine. I mean, and history speaks about it. So what I have done is, just for the benefit of some people, I have shared the latest policy of Kenya 2020, the
Okay.
investors policy, to use Sandeep. That can be
Great.
shared. But these are the typical things you have to keep in mind. And most of the people are expecting to go as partners.
Right.
They expect to have a local partner. And today there are very, very genuine good local partners also available. Because if you go as an investor, the investment is too high. So I suggest that you may starting a person as a partner who could be a local entity over there, helping to start off the business and operationalize and have a good learning from that, and then probably onboard him as a partner as the time goes. That could be one of the suggestion, and that's a very, very right way of doing things,
Genuine way
because
of
you are providing an opportunity for that person. So
right.
that also gives lot of confidence to the entire system, and the social economy system as a whole.
Mr. Goyal, you were saying something?
Yeah, Ajay, like in my past experience, I've seen that most of the projects in African region are been conducted or are been executed with the help of funding from all these international forums.
Yes.
So, how do one entrepreneur can get qualified, or maybe how do he get the eligibility criteria to apply for such kind of projects?
So so some of the projects which are there are invites also international expertise. So in that case, while these projects are done, and this funds direct doesn't go to an entrepreneur, it goes to the government.
Okay.
May go, if it is IT project, it may go to the Ministry of IT. If it's education project, it goes to the Ministry of Education. So what happens when these funds are there? The funds will be then given to the service providers. The service providers are all locals. Okay, and sometimes when this project is provided to a service provider, or their people are invited, it can be an open tender for international service providers. So there, in that case, there is a joint venture between the international service provider and the local service provider. There's a joint venture very specific for this project, and the exhibit is very clearly defined who's supposed to do what. So who brings what on the table. So you can always be a contributor for that particular funding system, and that's the reason I brought a point. I mean, it's very important when you're doing business. It is very important to take care of capacity building, because that today is coming at a very clear cut note. What is that are you doing? How do you ensure if this funding comes is scalable? See, most of the projects which has what has happened with all the funded projects, it's not scaled up. It's not scaled up because it solved a problem at that point of time. But how do you ensure you bring in there is a business continuity, or then there is which requires business to improve process improvements? So that will call for another RFP. But had you taken care of skill development, capacity building, that becomes inclusive. So when a project is done, it will also say for the next 3 years, these are the set of capacity building work you will have to do while you provide the solution. So that's how there is an opportunity to go ahead. Now, maybe you are coming from the education perspective.
Somebody has unmuted.
Yeah, so coming from the education perspective, there is also capacity build. I mean, knowledge transfer as an opportunity, certification an opportunity. See, in Indian business perspective, a lot of times individual skill certification has not gone much into the system. I mean, you can, if somebody has got experience, that's taken. Not in Africa. Africa, you expect if somebody is expert, he is supposed to hold those certification. So if you look at the behavior in Africa, every year each individual spends a lot of his monies on compliance and competency, because if he or she has to participate in that project, he has to have the respective skills. Right. And it's not like India. Even semi-skilled laborers required to have this. If you are running a certain kind of business, you have to prove that you have these kind of skilled workers, which is required, desired. And if it is an international funded RFP, these are very clearly these conditions. These are not general conditions. These are special conditions provided in the RFP.
So, Ajay, I have like a couple of queries now. So,
yes.
There is Amita from the group. She has asked about scope for services like advertising and digital media in Africa.
Okay. So marketing, digital marketing, and artificial intelligence based, or a bot based digital advertising opportunities are large in this part of the world. If you look at creativity, creating banners, creating posters, creating web pages, I think that's not an area. There is lot of life there. The life is all about how do I ensure there is the return on investment on marketing. How do you ensure you show that these are the kind of customers who are coming to you, and what they actually require, what their actually requirement, what pages, what web pages they are going to, what are they interested on. So that's an area wherein the space of marketing is looking at. They're looking at digital marketing. Digital marketing with artificial intelligence is something which is looked at. So don't compare yourself. India has gone in a very structured, and it has gradually migrated. Here it has taken a big leap, because the websites are expected to behave in certain way, and that is what the digital marketing expert requires to provide to this mobile or web interface. And everybody is practically working from the mobile phones today.
Right. Ajay, there is one more query from Mr. Murugan. In terms of ease of doing business, which is a very common term which we use in India, what in the terms of ease of doing business, how do you rank South Africa?
How do you
rank South Africa versus India in ease of doing business? That means getting the procedures and everything in place fast.
So it's I mean South Africa is a very matured country today. I mean, if you cannot compare South Africa to the sub-Saharan Africa, South Africa has got more than 300 foreign companies working there who are invested in that country. And I think South Africa is thriving with business today. I talk about any area, mining, IT, tourism, manufacturing. There are a lot of things happening there. But if you look at sub-Saharan Africa, is slowly going up the curve. And it is all happening by either bringing in the best practices, by bringing in experts to work with them and do capacity building and take it ahead. So that's what the world of sub-Saharan Africa is looking at. Yeah, ease of business is improving. That's what I have communicated. Some of the countries like Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Rwanda, they are all the presidents itself are IT savvy. The president itself of these specific countries are driving the IT agenda, including capacity building. So I was a part of one of the capacity building projects for the president of Kenya. So it's all inclusive today, and this is a World Bank project. So they are looking at bringing this processes in place. Kenya Force has got its the entire process of registering an organization, license, driving license, providing business license are all online today. It is under a term called as Huduma, HUDEMA service, Huduma services, which is driven by the Ministry of ICT. Some of the agriculture services also have been automated. So things are improving. And what you heard, please don't go what the media talks. Please go to the respective country websites. Maybe the embassies can help you. I think the next session, my suggestion as a part of a plan is when we talk to businessmen who are there, it makes more sense because they talk business sense from that specific domain area, from the ease of business and how they can scale up in terms of expectation, in terms of processes or risk mitigation. So that's what I can comment to Murugan's.
Ajay, there are a couple of more queries. One more query is from Mr. Gopal Garg. Opportunities, if I'm right, in IT and supply chain as well. How do we see it? I'm sure with a growing economy, it's big.
Okay. So if you talk about ERP per se, I think I suggest do not get into a large ERP space because these are all being taken care by large giants and their respective partners like SAP, Oracle, Microsoft, etc. I think what you can look at, if you have a proprietary product, a ERP solution, which can help the SME, it's a huge opportunity. So make mini ERPs which works, and that is why companies like Sage, Tally are slowly capturing the larger market because they have a mini ERP. So if you have a ERP system which can take care of logistic management, inventory, finance management, it's got a lot of opportunities. The second space of opportunity is deploying of skills for automation solutions because people are not available for automation solutions. The third area is providing manpower to manage production databases, supporting ERP, even remote supporting ERP. It's not that you have to send your person there. You can have your people 24/7 solutions which can be provided from India itself. I know a couple of companies which are providing manpower solutions for IT right sitting from India. So nobody is traveling. They didn't travel during the COVID time, and COVID time was so the problem was the Africans also were not accepting this kind of IT services remotely. But now they are all working remotely. Travel couldn't happen. The contracts were already signed. Support was supposed to be given. So as a part of change, this was a big change scene. So what they have done is they have a local generalist at the who is a local, one or two local guys who are taken by the company, deployed at the company's place at that location, and the experts sit in India or whichever country they are, and they are providing support. And once in a way they travel. So this ensures that travel is less, and business can be done better. And that I would also like to add, even creating new business opportunities today can be done like a forum like this. You can get connected to the businessmen, talk to them, look at opportunities and scale up, and then travel. Rather than traveling and scouting, the entire thing can be done sitting remotely.
Right.
This is a strong suggestion. and it's possible and today accepted. This last 6 months has made people accept the ground reality.
So your take is, if in the ERP space, if somebody is looking for it, you already have big giants working in that space.
Yes, and there are no point getting there. A lot of people who have already got 10, 15 years back. You need to see if you have got some special expertise, support services, TSS, technical support services, is a huge opportunity. Technical architects are a huge opportunity. Somebody is looking, for example, trying cloud is a huge opportunity. Most of the people are working today are slowly migrating towards cloud, starting by telecom companies, not the government. Government is yet to take the stand because they are scared of data protection policies, and it will take some time to overcome that. But banks, telecom companies are slowly moving towards an hybrid cloud. So if we have experts who can architect an hybrid cloud solution, and today cloud solution, if somebody is from the IT in this forum, they are looking at solution, they're talking about open cloud compute solution. So people coming with Red Hat expertise, enterprise Red Hat expertise, not Red Hat, general Red Hat enterprise expertise, which can easily deploy any kind of application on the cloud environment. It is and scalable. Those opportunities are big. So if you ask me, 3 takes. 1, deployment of people for ERP, just not taking up ERP projects. You have technical support services deployment, cybersecurity deployment, automation solutions can be given, end-to-end solutions can be given. And I talked about cloud. Cloud is a huge opportunity, and especially open cloud compute solutions. So these are the areas people can be looked at, because there is no engineering college. People don't have the expertise, and user interface and end user experience, mobility programmers for creating a better facilitation can be done. In this case, you did not send people; they are not required. The people can be working in India. I have got somebody known who is giving the entire services from a place like Ahmedabad. The entire he has got his office where all the programmers come. Not some of the programmers are from local Ahmedabad. Some are sitting in Bombay. Some are sitting in Delhi. But they are doing the entire coding is done from India itself, and they're providing that. So things are changing. So there are a lot of opportunities.
Ajay, there have been another query in a different sector from Mr. Manoj Juneja. What is the scope of construction in South Africa?
I can't comment about South Africa, but I will surely comment about. It's too big a country. South Africa is probably 5 hours from Kenya,
right?
But construction is a large industry. So how can you bring in the newer I don't know what you call it, where they make the blocks and they do the construction. It's not that you do the entire construction. They make the respective blocks and they construct the houses faster. This is some area which where people are talking fast-based construction is a huge opportunity there. Landscape designing is also a huge opportunity. Interior designing is also a huge opportunity. Large opportunity in construction, what I can talk today is safety. Construction safety is a huge issue in entire Africa. So somebody coming with having know-how of technical know-how of construction safety, audits, and even know-how transfer is a massive opportunity in the space of in construction business.
Right. So what you are saying is the opportunity in construction also is predominantly where you have a base where you create the precast.
Yes.
And then there's a place where you just ship them and implement the entire project.
I don't know what the question of construction. Were you talking about construction or houses, or it was? So if you talk about construction of houses, I made a comment. I am given some feedback. I may not be perfect, but if you talk about road construction, if you talk about bridge construction, these are all what I've seen is all government to government projects.
Right.
Most of the projects today are done by the Chinese government. They have done, I think, most of the road construction, bridge construction, railway construction. Largest railway construction has happened between Djibouti and Ethiopia. So all this are being done by the government. So that is what has been seen.
Right. Quickly, Ajay, there have been a couple of more queries. I'll read 2 out of two of them straight away. One from Kaushik, our old friend. Hi,
Okay.
Kaushik. He says his favorite subject. What is the outlook on leadership and executive development in corporates? Example, coaching and training. This is an area. If you can quickly answer that.
Let me state massive opportunity.
Massive.
Things like massive opportunity. Things like design thinking. Design thinking. I'm not talking design thinking for manufacturing or design thinking for. I'm talking design thinking for strategic management. Design thinking for leadership. Design thinking for succession management. Huge opportunity. Because
we ourselves got a lot of queries on design thinking, right?
Yes, so I think there's a huge opportunity in that space. Project management, risk management, analytics,
right?
Data science is a huge opportunity again for the leadership, because they understand how do you enable them is something. What is a huge opportunity? So I think at high level management opportunities are massive. So what is happening today is people are getting themselves trained, and people want to see how this has been implemented at a specific industry. So a lot of people travel, they get their training, and then they travel to the respective location where this has been implemented, and then they expect that the same similar thing to be done with the capacity building, with the knowledge transfer done across a period of time. For example, if a bank is looking at a leadership based training or capacity building, the training is done, then they go to the respective location. Let for example, they come to Reserve Bank of India and they see how the processes are managed. Then they go back. Then this expert again flies back to Africa and stays with them for showing how this implementation can be actually done.
So, Kaushik, you can join us next month. We are traveling to Kenya and we can explore together. Okay. There are a couple of more queries quickly. I think they're important. I will not miss them out. Ajay, there has been a query since you are sitting in Kenya. Answer this. Health and wellness sector in Africa.
Massive. Massive. Health and wellness is massive. I mean, if we talk about, it's very strange that Africa has got one of the richest resources of any kind of spices which are used for medical perspective, for naturopathy, meditation, yoga, fitness. They may be having a strong body, but their fitness is all about building up muscles and running. They are all good. It's naturally built that way. But you talk about for a general public, how do you ensure you create a balance between diet, meditation, exercise? This is a huge opportunity for people who are in the health management and wellness space. Massive opportunity. It is unstructured there.
Great. I will take one more question over here. It's coming from Amita. Interesting area. What is the scope in developing audio-visual content, animation, and motion graphic movies?
Massive.
Okay.
But let me also tell her that you have to use African voice. You need to collaborate with an African specialist. You may have the technical know-how to build it, but voice, you have to use local. You cannot say, I'm going to do the voiceover. Impossible. Doesn't work.
So accent is very important.
Accent is very important. You have to use the local. Then there is an interface because you are talking to a local community. So it has to be local voice or local interface.
There have been consistent queries which keeps coming on in terms of safety and security. We have been discussing about it yesterday. There have
safety and security
too over here. So if you can share it from your perspective.
Safety as a process or general safety when I land, or that kind of when I land in Africa, what is going to happen? Is that the question?
I think it's very generic with respect to safety. That is how the people are. How safe it is.
I think I had. Let me share my experience. I had a lovely experience. And if you go to a crazy place, even if you go to a place in Gurgaon.
I think Mr. Goel wants to say something.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a couple of friends who've been traveling to this region, and the safety was their utmost concern. The traveling with the guard, not traveling in the night, or maybe taking care of their, like to stay indoor in the hotel. Safety concern as a personal security So that those have been discussed in length and breadth. So I think this is what Sandeep was talking about.
Right.
So I think, see, there are some countries, yes, there is a concern. I mean, South Africa is the most thriving country in terms of business, but a place like Joburg, there are a lot of safety issues there. You have to be going around with a local guy. If you are with a local person, nothing happens. But if you have language barriers, or if you are not knowing the place, I don't have a local help, there could be an issue. I've been in Kenya, I've been in Ethiopia for so many years. If you go to a place which is not safe, then I can get affected. Even traveling at night, it is cool. I mean, you have Uber facilities in most of the countries.
Mm-hmm.
So you have you have bike taxis, which is again tracked by the police as well as by that particular service provider. So it's not that safety is a huge concern. Was a concern. Some countries are a concern, but not overall. I mean, there is huge nightlife there. So people believe in having fun. So there is work, and post work they have a nightlife. So people, and that's a part of an African working community. You can't be just doing work and running inside. They want people to join, have fun as a culture. Mm-hmm. So if that is not there, then it's impossible.
True.
If you want to do business, there are safety concerns. I won't say there are safety concerns in every part of the world. But if you are working with a local person, they expect you to be a part of the system. So that will create a good personal relationship also. And safety is not a big concern as of now. This is what I can say. Right. And if I look at even the COVID procedures and processes, I find in Kenya it has been very strict. Even when I travel in a car, if it's a small car, there are two people. I can't have more than 2 people in the car. If it's a bigger car, 3 people. So the safety procedures, processes from the health perspective is very strict, apart from thefts, etc.
Right. I think we are nearly up with our time. There are still some queries. What we will do is, friends, we will try and answer them quickly. Mr. Goel, I think we can take 2 more minutes.
Yeah,
Ajay, you're fine? 2 more minutes.
Fine. So
briefly,
fine.
Since it has come up. One is about setting up an education setup, school and college. What is the scope from your mouth? And second was, how can I get business to develop films from Africa?
How can I get? Sorry, please repeat it.
How can I get business to develop films from Africa?
Films, okay.
I am based in UAE, so getting African voice is not an issue.
Okay, let me answer what was the first question? Sorry, I missed it. What was the first question?
First is about setting up school and college.
Yeah, so setting up school and colleges, I think most of the international brands are already there. In there, I can see companies like GEMS and various other schools already there. They are setting up schools, and most of their offices are based in UAE. And it is from the UAE office which is supporting the African continent. There are enough schools. New teaching techniques is a huge opportunity in the space of education. Digital content is a huge opportunity. Right. Bringing in industry included expertise and examples in the education system is a huge opportunity from the education perspective. So education will always be thriving space, and I already told you 60% Africans are young Africans. So they would like to have better education. So that takes care of the query. What was the second question about voiceover?
A second question was coming from Amita, who raised about the like making of films.
Okay.
She's saying that how can I get business to develop films from Africa? That means, if I'm right, she wants to generate business out of Africa for developing films.
Movies. What I don't know what kind of movies. Is it a movie?
So Amita, what you can do is you can write to us. Since
can I explain it myself?
Yeah, please. You're welcome. I'm here to try to answer
you.
Okay,
thank you. What I want to say is, see, I have a advertising and digital media content company.
Okay.
So I can create animation films, product videos, educational videos, all those type of content.
Yes.
So how can I generate? I'm based in UAE. My company is registered in UAE.
Okay.
So how can I generate business from sitting in UAE?
So I think if you're looking at an education business, so this needs to go through the ICT authority, that is ICTA. Let me talk about. There are regulatory bodies in every country, which actually connects with the Ministry of Education, because this is an IT enabled services. So the Ministry of Education, IT also comes here. The Ministry of Telecom also comes here. The Ministry of Power also comes here, and Ministry of Labor also comes here. But because it is more for content development and it is associated with the Ministry of Education, you have to go via the ICT authority, which is a regulatory body for every country. So there are ICT authorities. So these ICT authority would help you to connect up with the respective ministry. They have partnership directors whose major agenda is to create those collaborations. So that's the way to go. That is one way to go. The second way of going is there could be local content developers who are there. You could partner with them and help them improve their services. So these are the two ways you could do business. Content development is a massive opportunity because they don't have that expertise. They may have subject matter experts, but they don't have automation experts in the space of education digitization. And
Okay, thank you.
also LMSs. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. I think we have come to the end of it. It's already 4:07. It was great connecting with you. Obviously, all your queries can be sent across to us. You can write to us, because we already have put a network in place for business proposition. We are also putting in structures. And as Ajay mentioned, in the coming webinars between Africa and India, we will be creating opportunities to engage with people, policymakers, entrepreneurs on that side as well as this side. So there will be a facilitation also. So feel free to write to us. We will try and help you with your queries. And as Ajay has already shared a policy or document with us, which will be mailing to each of you.
Yeah, that's for Kenya, Sandeep, because that may not be applicable for all the countries.
Right.
Some of the policies may be same, but some of the places it could be different, especially taxation. Yeah, so that's something which we need to.
Sure. Mr. Goyal, anything which you want to share?
Very patiently, a lot of queries, and you could answer them well. But you see, ultimately, the business person, I believe, like in the industry past 29, 30 years. So you see that the people initially, they have that hesitant component. So probably what Sandeep and we at doing this thing, where probably a forum where people come forward and can share the business trust with us. They are aspired for. So people like you, Ajay, and some more people we are going to connect. We are creating, Sandeep, I think you may add on to this thing.
Right.
People, the hesitancy component, probably we will be able to take care of it, because the entrepreneur has the product, has the willingness, enthusiasm, finance, everything.
Right.
It's only an unknown land. Unknown land territory is always a pain for everybody. So I think that's where we come in picture. Anybody like other people who are interested in opportunities, probably help you taking things further, and can connect with the right kind of people, and probably will help you out.
I think just to add up there, Mr. Goyal, I think one is to meet the
school colleges
meet the domain experts, and also meet associations like the for example Kenya Associate of Manufacturing. Okay, they have the Manufacturing Association. There is also Association for Small and Medium Enterprises. Meeting this community and meeting who are also entrepreneurs. All the entrepreneurs are part of this community. Meeting this community will create a lot of interaction, clarity, understanding from the perspective of processes, investment, taxation, risk mitigation would be a great way of taking it ahead. And my suggestion is, like I was talking to Sandeep yesterday, is to create focused interaction with those set of people so that you can interact and then plan to visit, or they can come over here to understand what is happening. And that's the best way of taking it ahead. And I think digital environment, welcome to digital environment. And I think this is a boon which COVID has left to all of us. That's what I can say.
Great. I think it's time to call it a day. Thanks, everybody. It was great having you on board today. And I hope it was meaningful to all of us. Thank you, Ajay. Thanks for your time and enriching us with all the informations which you shared today. It was great having you and talking to you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Goel. Yes, Mr. Goel.
Your query, which is very specific.
Yeah.
Before
your voice is cracking.
There is one more query from Sitanshu.
Okay.
Yeah. My name is Sitanshu. I'm General Manager of Cosmos Group.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we do a lot of EPC project in international market, and our core competition is Africa market.
Okay.
So, we found while doing EPC project, so a lot of, we have government lobby. So they are requesting for the finances under souvenir guarantees of the government or letter of comfort.
Okay.
So we are looking for some finances. If you can guide us how we can do that. So there is a scope.
Okay, so what I'll do is, I don't know if you know an organization. It's Kalpatru. I know somebody from Kalpatru.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
so
yes,
they are doing large projects in Namibia and Ethiopia as of now. So what I can do is, I will pass on his contacts to Sandeep and Mr. Goel, and maybe you get an opportunity to talk to them directly, because I would not be able to comment on that query of yours.
I know Mr. Kaushik, their vice president.
Okay. At Mumbai?
Mumbai, yes.
At Mumbai. So yeah, their headquarters are Mumbai, but there is one Mr. Shetty who sits in Addis Ababa. I can introduce him to him, and then probably you can have an understanding how they are working there, and he should be in a good position to answer your questions, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, sir.
Thank you. Okay, so that's it for today. Thanks, everybody. And see you in the next webinar. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Have a nice day. Bye, Ajay. Bye, Mr.
Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.